is clearly true. I mean, there's just I'm going to do an interview with him and you can hear it. And again, it's not going to change the world that Barack Obama likes dudes.
Donald Young was the choir director in Jeremiah Wright's church in Chicago.
This is the church Obama attended?
Exactly.
And what did Donald Young tell you?
That he too had intimate relations with Barack Obama and had for years.
One mastermind is governing the nation. You know what? Let me start over. This is crazy. Okay, there's really not much to say here right before this next segment that you're about to watch. This is Tucker Carlson. And I don't know if it's so much that there's not much to say here, or if
maybe it's safe not to say anything here.
I am concerned about my safety, and you should be concerned with your safety at all times as well.
You know, everybody I knew, the world I lived in Northwest DC, like everyone works either directly for the government or is a parasite on government effectively, including people I love and know really well. And the media is too, by the way. I mean, the media is reporting on government, but it's also dependent on government. You know, in 2008, it became really clear that Barack Obama had been having sex with men and smoking crack. And a guy came forward, Larry Sinclair, and said, I'll sign an affidavit. And he did. I'll take a lie detector. And he did. I smoked crack with Barack Obama and had sex with him. Well, that was obviously true. Nobody reported it, not because they were squeamish about sex or drugs, but because the Obama campaign said anyone who reports on this gets no access to the Obama campaign. And so they didn't report on it. So that happens. That's just one small example, but that happens all the time with lots of different issues.
Now, do you believe that transpired, or do you believe the guy is legitimate, or both?
Oh, the Larry Sinclair story? Oh, that definitely happened. Oh, for sure. I mean, I've talked to Larry Sinclair about it, and definitely it happened. I mean, Larry Sinclair's been in and out of prison during one period. I mean, 40 years ago, he was in and out of prison. He's got a criminal record by definition. He's, poor. He's got a disordered life. He's missing a tooth. Like, he's not, an Atlantic fellow. He's not going to the Aspen Ideas Festival. I think he has a record of deception. Obviously he does. But this story, if you listen to it in detail, is clearly true. I mean, I'm going to do an interview with him and you can hear it. And again, it's not going to change the world that Barack Obama likes dudes. I think this was well known. Barack Obama said so himself in a letter to his girlfriend. And by the way, that's kind of Barack Obama's business. I'm not attacking him for liking dudes. I'm just saying the amount of lying in the media about it was unbelievable. Like, people knew this was true, and it was quite obviously true at the time. And people who covered the campaign didn't say anything about it because they didn't want to lose access to the campaign. And that happens all the time up and down government. So it's almost like if you have a housekeeper, you think, she works for me. But if you have a housekeeper long enough, you realize, well, you actually work for her, and you get caught up in her dramas. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's a weird dynamic where you switch places with people.
And by the way, fire her abruptly and she'll write a tell-all book about Tucker at home.
That's exactly right. And, we don't even have a full-time housekeeper. So, like, that's not going to be an issue for me. But the point is, you think you're holding government accountable, but actually they're controlling you. That's really the dynamic in Washington. But, you're living in the soup, and it's hard to see it at work. And this is a long way of saying the conclusions I've reached are middle-aged conclusions. And that's a lot of it. Right. It's just that I've gotten older, and you can't see certain things when you're younger. And it's like young people, you'd think they'd be the most open-minded of all. They're the least open-minded because they're afraid of the future. So they want to believe whatever storyline they've been fed is true. Like, the only problem with America is white supremacy, and like our tax system is fair, and Kennedy was assassinated by a lone gunman, or whatever. They don't want to face like the terrifying unknown and complexities of the actual world we live in, the reality of life, which is like, we have no freaking idea. What's going on, actually. They don't want to admit that.
So now, I am not implying that this is necessarily true. I'm just giving you what the information that's been given to me. By the way, I'm getting a lot of emails from you guys. I am being inundated with lots of information, more than I would. Well, keep it coming. Keep it coming. Give me some ideas. This is how we stimulate this is the nature of the beast, right? But I'm not saying this is necessarily true. Okay, I know Tucker Carlson is saying that you had reporters that wouldn't tell the story. Of course not. They're not. These reporters in the mainstream media work for the same machine that employs Obama. Obama didn't make it to that position as president himself. He had the help of GS. GS was a big backer of Obama. Obama was GS's project. Okay, after the Clintons, GS put Barack Obama where he wouldn't be where he is today without GS. And that's why I want you guys to think about Vivek Ramaswamy. And if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. I just put it out yesterday. So it goes over a few things about Vivek. It's not Vivek. Almost sounds like the medications that
he big pharmaceutical, right?
I don't know if Vivek is a good guy or a bad guy either. But anyway, back to this. I'm not saying it happened. I'm not saying it's true. There's a lot of people saying that this is the truth because Tucker said it. It could very well be. I love Tucker. I like Tucker until I find out otherwise about Tucker's character. I like Trump. I have some of my reservations about Trump. But as far as I'm concerned and what I see, and even little times when I've heard him behind a hot mic, I've heard him talk when he thought the microphone was off. He's a man of integrity. What I mean is, yes, he's a man of the world. So was Cyrus, and the Jews loved him. Trump might not be the most pious man in the world, but, well, I don't know. He could be. So my point is that we trust people as far as we can throw them.
No, wait a minute. That's not.
My point is we trust people. We give them enough room to prove themselves, right? We don't live in a land where you're guilty until proven innocent, even though there are those in high positions that will like to say otherwise. But that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. You're innocent until proven guilty, and we should treat all of our fellow men and women like that.
Introduction was made through the limo driver that I was looking for someone to enjoy the night with. The introduction was made through the limo driver.
And what happened?
We had a few drinks. I had made some comments about wanting Coke, so we got in the limo and left, and we started drinking. I started snorting. He started smoking. I actually put my hand on his knee and started to rub up his thigh. And I performed oral sex on Barack Obama. The following day, I actually get a knock on my hotel room door in Gurnee, Illinois, only to find Barack Obama standing in front of it. He had actually come back for seconds. I performed oral sex on him in the hotel room at the Comfort Inn and Suites in Gurnee, Illinois.
Were there drugs involved in the second night as well?
There was.
Who produced those?
He actually brought those with him.
Now, Obama at that time was a state senator.
I actually had no idea who he was.
And then when did you find out that it was Barack Obama?
Watching the 2004 DNC convention.
Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. Thank you.
And it hit me, and at the time I was just kind of floored.
Good afternoon. My name is Montgomery Blair Sibley. I'm the attorney for Larry Sinclair.
Now, you have this press conference.
I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine.
After the press conference, you are arrested
by the D.C. Police Department upon the orders of Beau Biden, Attorney General for Delaware.
So this is Joe Biden's son, Beau Biden.
It is. Apparently he had a grand jury indictment from 2 weeks after I went public on Obama accusing me of theft that never took place.
Shortly before you made these public allegations about Obama, you were contacted, you say, by a man named Donald Young.
Donald Young was the choir director in Jeremiah Wright's church in Chicago.
This is the church Obama attended.
Exactly.
And what did Donald Young tell you?
That he too had intimate relations with Barack Obama and had for years, and that I needed to protect myself, that they were going to come after me.
What happened to him?
He was shot point blank in his apartment in Chicago.
The murder was never solved?
No, it wasn't.
So if you don't know about Larry Sinclair, he made allegations before the 2008 elections, before Barack Obama was elected the first time, that he had a relationship, a very casual relationship with Barack Obama. I'm not sure if it continued on after that. He did claim that after a one-night stand with Barack Obama, he actually came to his apartment. He gets a lawyer, signs a sworn affidavit, talks to the head of the church, the pastor of the church that Obama attended, and the pastor says, yeah, we did the same thing, and then ends up deceased. So the question is, and I wanted to know, and I think you guys want to know, and other people that I've talked to want to know, is why is this coming out now? What happened? The name that you should consider is David Garrow. Now, David Garrow is not a conservative. At least I don't think he is. He's definitely not a fan of Trump. And he actually admired, and maybe still admires, I don't know, Barack Obama. But he's saying that former President Obama is not telling the truth. So who is David Garrow? David Garrow is Barack Obama's biographer. The biography is called Rising Star. It's not A Rising Star. Now here's the kicker. Okay, David Garrow is a liberal, obviously. I mean, I'm sure to be Barack Obama's biographer, you had to be in that camp a little bit, right? So here's the kicker. Barack Obama says it in his own words in the biography that I guess he's telling a girlfriend that I fantasized about men daily, but only in my mind. So it was something maybe he was, so people would feel that there's some transparency here coming from this man so we can trust him. He's being honest about his feelings, but he never comes out and says that there's that he's ever had anything physically to do with men. So he tells David Garrow, the biographer, this. Well, David Garrow is saying that that is not true. There's even a letter where he writes to his ex-girlfriend, and no one's questioned the authenticity of the letter, and no one really cares to. And I think we're at a point in our daily lives in this day and age where we're live and let live, and haven't we progressed to a level where this shouldn't matter to anyone as far as the world is concerned? So I think you guys know what the problem is. The problem isn't somebody's lifestyle and what they choose to. I mean, we're Latter-day Saints. We have a slanted opinion on that.
Hopefully most of us do.
But we know that there's many in the church today that have opposing views on that type of lifestyle. Well, I mean, we can all agree on. I mean, our prophet's saying, you know, it's not abnormal. The brethren are saying, we are saying in the church, the narrative is it's not abnormal to have feelings, but let's talk about celibacy. Let's talk about chastity. But that's not the problem either. As far as the world's concerned and society and the United States people, the people of the United States, Americans, it's the lies. It's the misleading. It's the pretending to be somebody you're not, and the cover-ups, and it all kind of goes with the same package. It's that entity, that elitist, that group, that camp.
It's the covert combos
that are blatantly lying to us, and that's what it is. It goes back to the Clinton administration. It comes to the Obama administration, and it's a never-ending lie, and that's what we're talking about here. So if you think it stops here, it doesn't. Tucker Carlson has millions of followers. He is a modern-day Robin Hood. He is a modern-day truth speaker. He is a modern-day Paul Revere. He is warning us about the deep state. He has had his own dynamic awakenings. He's had his own red pill moment. He's had his own black pill moment. And, of course, there's many different meanings. You guys have your own meanings of what being black pilled and red pilled means. As far as I'm concerned, there's some positive definitions behind those terms. So Tucker Carlson has come a long way. But to make a long story short about Tucker, he is, in most people's eyes, a good man, a man of integrity. He has proven to the masses that he will report on the things that truly matter, and he is one that wants to call things out. And it doesn't matter if it's President Trump sitting in front of him. It doesn't matter if it's Barack Obama or Joe Biden. He wants the truth, and we all want the truth. So that's why he's popular. Now, the question is he walking a thin line? Is he playing with fire with some of the things that he's saying? So what's the most recent thing he's saying that could be getting him into hot water? That we're going to war with Russia, and that's inevitable, and that is what our government is planning. So why is that a bad thing? Well, it's not a secret, but why is it a bad thing for the people that are in power for you to call them out on that? Because what war does, war is a money-making machine. It's a power-grabbing machine, and it puts a lot of important people into even more important positions. It involves the shadow governments. It involves shadow leaders, world leaders. Then this is all mainly post World War I, World War II. Mainly post World War II is where the military-industrial complex came to be. President Eisenhower, on his way out, warned about the military-industrial complex, and not just it, but the people that would be benefiting from it. And it's not all about finances. If you think it's just a money grab, it's not. It's an agenda that was set in place by a lot of these people's parents, these fake philanthropists, uncles and aunts and parents. Planned Parenthood is one of them. It goes on and on, man. You could go. It's not just the big R family from Europe that goes back centuries, the Roth blanks, right? We don't even mention them anymore. There's so many other new players that have been around maybe for the last 60 years, the last 100 years. I mean, imagine the same sentiment being carried on, but with new babies being born in these elitist families. Then their parents grow old and die, still have implanted in them, placed in them that ideal, those ideas. But then these new generations say, well, I'm going to do something a little bit more innovative, a little bit more better. I'm going to take what grandpa did and uncle did and add some more poison to it and fortify it with technology. Even people 100 years ago, the Roth blanks, they didn't understand technocracy or what that would look like today. So you guys get that. So I digress. So Tucker Carlson's talking to Adam Carolla like he did a few minutes ago. He's talking to Adam Carolla here about going to war with Russia and how the elitists, that's their agenda. That's what we're going to do next. We're going to send young men and women to die. And I'm thinking maybe it's because we've got a few dominoes that won't tip over yet for globalism to work, and that could be Russia and China. We're not worried about Korea. We'll handle them later. Those are the little guys. But check this out.
Can't lose. They will do anything to win. So how do they do that? They're not going to do COVID again. I know everyone on the right's afraid they're going to do COVID and mask mandate. They're not going to do that. They can't do that. If they've already been exposed, that won't work. There's going to be no. What are they going to do? They're going to go to war with Russia. Is what they're going to do. There will be a hot war between the United States and Russia in the next year. And
really?
Yes, of course. They want it anyway. I don't think we'll win it, but that's a separate analysis. But I think it's a political matter. They need to declare war footing in order to assume war powers in order to win. I believe that. And I think the evidence suggests that's true. So if you're worried about our politics getting like even more vicious than it already is, and people being hurt in our politics, which is entirely possible, you should be worried about the prospect of an open war. We're already at war with Russia, of course. We're funding their enemies. So we're fighting Russia. But I mean, an open battle with Russia where we say we're at war with Russia. I think that could easily happen. I think we could Tonkin Gulf our way into it, where all of a sudden missiles land in Poland. The Russians did it. Our NATO allies been attacked. We're going to war. I could see that happening very easily. So if you're worried about that, you need to put as much pressure as you possibly can on the Republican-held Senate to force a peace, which can be done. The United States could force a peace in Ukraine tonight. We're funding one side. There is no Ukrainian army outside of NATO. If NATO withdrew its support for Ukraine, Ukraine would crumble in a day. So we are the only power in the world that can bring both sides to the table to force a peace, which will be unsatisfactory as all forced peaces are. Like each side will give more than it wants, but that's the only option. Otherwise, I would bet my house on it. We are going to war with Russia. And of course, the stakes are everything, our life on the planet. I mean, these are the two biggest nuclear arsenals in the world.
In conclusion, did you know that Joseph Fielding Smith said this over 100 years ago? He said, Satan has control now. That was the turn of from the 19th century to the 20th century. Satan has control now. No matter where you look, he is in control, even in our own land. He is guiding the governments as far as the Lord will permit him. That is why there is so much strife, turmoil, confusion all over the earth. One master mind is governing the nations. It is not the President of the United States. He was saying that back then. Jiminy Chris. Oh, this is Joseph Fielding Smith. Okay, well, he was saying this in the 1950s and 60s. Maybe this was after. I want to find out when he did this. Was this after the assassination of John F. Kennedy? Anyway, he goes, one mastermind is governing the nation. You know what? Let me start over. This is crazy. Satan has, I read it the other day. This is saturating me right now. Satan has control now. No matter where you look, he is in control, even in our own land. He is guiding the governments as far as the Lord will permit him. That is why there is so much strife, turmoil, confusion all over the earth. One mastermind is governing the nations. It is not the President of the United States. It is not the king or government of England or any other land. It is Satan himself. Joseph Fielding Smith, Doctrines of Salvation, Volume 3, pages 314 and 315. Let's see, 1954. So, look, when he was he probably wrote it at the end of the 1940s, into the early 1950s. So the brethren knew even back then. Those weren't the good old days, brothers and sisters. Anyway, let's end there.